Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is stir. Let's take a look at some definitions. The first and most common way you are likely to hear or see the verb stir used is to refer to cooking. And its meaning is to move a spoon or other utensil around in order to mix something. There are some alternate meanings for this particular verb. You might see them when you're reading. You might occasionally hear them when others are speaking. Let's take a look at those meanings. One is to rise or wake from sleep. So you might hear someone talk about hearing others stir, suggesting that they are awake or up. And you could use this if you're referring to people or even animals. Another alternative meaning for stir is to move, cause to move, or to excite. So here, when I use the verb move, I'm really talking about someone's feelings. So perhaps making someone incredibly happy or incredibly sad. They could go either extreme, but it could involve people physically moving and doing things, but many times we're really just talking about our emotions. Stir is a regular verb. Because this verb ends with a consonant, vowel, consonant, we need to double the last consonant before we add ing to make the progressive form. Stirring. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are going to follow the same rule. We're going to double the R before we add ed. And the letter R is a voiced sound in English, so this ed is going to make a D sound. Stirred, stirred. Let's take a look at a few phrasal verbs. The first one we'll look at is stir in, and its meaning relates back to our first or main meaning for this verb, and that is to combine something with another liquid or mixture. Here's an example sentence. Next, stir in the oil. So this sounds like it could have come out of a recipe, and so we might already have some things mixed together, and then we're going to add oil and continue to stir, is what that's suggesting. Another phrasal verb you might hear is stir something into. And it's going to be very close in meaning to stir in. Its meaning is to mix one thing into something else. Here's an example sentence. Stir the eggs into the pancake batter. Another phrasal verb you might hear is to stir something up. This can have two different meanings. The first, again, goes back to that idea of cooking, and that you're just mixing something and using that process of a spoon or some other utensil. So here's an example sentence. Did you stir the brownie batter up? Really, you could use this sentence and just take away up, and it kind of reverts back to that first meaning of combining, and it would really have the exact same meaning. The last phrasal verb we'll look at is to stir something up or stir someone up. And that's going to connect more closely to the third meaning we looked at, causing a particular feeling, moving someone. And this particular meaning is to cause trouble or a bad feeling. Here it is in a sentence. He stirred things up by complaining about his coworkers' long breaks. This is implying there's maybe been some bad things to happen now at work. Perhaps there's been meetings, or maybe some employees have gotten into trouble based on these long breaks and the related complaints. Let's continue practicing using stir in a few different verb tenses. Today we'll look at the imperative, the present progressive, and future perfect. I chose the imperative, which some people might know more as commands, because these are words you will likely see in recipes that are giving you directions on how to cook a particular dish. What's unique about the imperative is that there's no stated subject. The subject is implied. It is either you singular or you plural. So to make the affirmative, we're just going to use the base verb and provide our instruction. Stir the mixture for 10 minutes. If I want to make a negative imperative, I'm going to begin with don't, again, because my subject is implied you, and then the base verb. Here's a negative example. Don't stir the batter too much. There are no questions in the imperative, so we'll move to the present progressive. This verb tense is describing something that is happening now, or an event that is in progress. To make this verb tense, we need a present form of be and then the ing form of the verb. Here's an example of an affirmative sentence. The news is stirring confusion among students. So here we're going back again to that third definition about moving, causing some movement, or perhaps excitement. This in particular maybe has people talking, nowadays probably texting, about whatever the confusion might be. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? To make negative present progressive, we need to insert not after the be verb. It's really common to hear native English speakers use contraction forms, and that's what I have in my example here. If you aren't stirring constantly, then the sauce won't be good. So here, maybe in the moment, right, someone's suggesting, if you're not doing this action continuously, then the result will not be good. That result is in the future. If I want to ask a question in present progressive, I'm going to start with a form of be, then my subject, and then the ing form of the verb. Here's an example. Are people stirring yet? Lastly, let's look at the future perfect. For this verb tense, we're going to make it by using will, be, and the participle form of the verb. Here's an example sentence. People will be stirred to action after they read this story. If I want to make negative future perfect, I'm going to insert not after will. And you might hear native speakers use the contraction won't. Their curiosity won't be stirred. Finally, if I want to make a yes or no question in the future perfect, I'm going to start with will, then I'll have my subject, then be, and then the participle. Will people be stirred by the beauty of this place? Let's talk about some words that are related to our verb stir. And the first word is the noun form of this word. So exact same spelling, exact same pronunciation, and like the verb form, it can also have a couple different meanings. One meaning for the noun is a state of noisy disturbance. So here's an example of that. The restaurant caused quite a stir by offering 25-cent hamburgers. So imagine lots of people lining up, perhaps lots of cars backing up the drive-through at this particular restaurant. That would be our noisy disturbance. Another meaning for the noun form of stir is an act of stirring food or drink. Here's an example of that. Give the pot a stir before serving. Here, the article a is helping me know that stir is being used as a noun in this sentence. The next set of related words are a bit similar in that we have a verb and a noun form, and that's stir fry. So stir fry as a verb means to fry food quickly over high heat while stirring continuously. So here it is in a sentence. Did you stir fry the meat and vegetables? Stir fry as a noun is talking about a dish that might have meat, fish, and or vegetables. And it's made through that process of frying quickly over high heat with constant stirring. So here's an example of the noun form. This stir fry has ginger, cilantro, chickpeas, and broccoli. The last word we're going to look at today is an idiom, stir crazy. And I thought this might be something you've heard mentioned in articles or on TV. And this idiom means that someone is experiencing a feeling where they're becoming upset because they've been indoors or they've been confined for too long of a time. So this might be a feeling you recognize. Many families have begun to feel stir crazy after observing stay-at-home orders for several weeks and months. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.